What is going on, everybody? You know what time of the week it is. It is time for another episode of the Make Money and Have Fun show. On this show, I'm interviewing every week millionaires, billionaires, entrepreneurs, investors, and really individuals who are just bridging that gap between their passion and their prosperity. They're both making money and they're having fun. And today's guest is probably one of the people that I know who has the most fun. I mean, his house is set up literally just to play games throughout the whole thing. So we're going to have such a cool time. I am super excited to have this guest here. So let's get into it.
My motto in life is make money and have fun. I'm on a mission to show everyone how to make money, yeah, and have fun. I'm all about making money and having fun.
All right, you know what that song means. That means it's go time. But real quick, before we get started, I want to bring up a couple of things. First of all, if you're watching us live either on Facebook or on YouTube, show us some love. Say hello. And this is the really cool thing. So Austin's here. Austin's hanging out with us. He said, hello, Fred Basimo. Great show. So the really cool thing is that if you have a question for my guest today or something that you want to ask, drop it in the comments below. And we can actually bring it right up on screen. We can ask that question live. But the other really cool thing that I did is I actually allowed backstage access for this show. So I know a lot of you know my friend Greg Reid, who I'm going to be interviewing today. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to give you the opportunity to actually come on camera with us and ask your questions live. So here's all you have to do. See this little phone number right down here, 215-596-1515. If you text the word Greg, G-R-E-G, to that phone number, it'll actually send you an invite link to come with us backstage, come hang out with us, and you can actually come in, ask your question, and chat with Greg and me a little bit. So Eric's here. Eric says hello. Now, on that note, I need to introduce today's guest. So let me tell you a little bit about Greg Reid. Who is Greg Reid? And let's hear all about him. So for over 25 years, Greg has inspired millions of people to take personal responsibility to step into the potential of their greatness, and as such, his life of contribution has been recognized by government leaders, a foreign princess, as well as luminaries in education, business, and industry. Check this out. So Greg Reid has been published in over 100 books, including 32 bestsellers in 45 languages. So we're definitely going to be talking about books today. He's written titles such as Stickability, The Millionaire Mentor, and one of my favorite books ever, 3 Feet from Gold, which have inspired readers to understand that the most valuable lessons we learn are also the easiest ones to apply. Greg Reid is known for being the founder of Secret Knock, a Forbes and Inc. magazine top-rated event focused on partnership, networking, and business development. He's the producer of the Oscar-qualified film Wishman, which if you haven't seen Wishman, I highly recommend it, but make sure you bring a box of tissues with you when you go to watch it. It's on Netflix right now. It is a phenomenal film. You got to check it out. And if that's not enough, recently Greg was honored with the star of the infamous Las Vegas Walk of Stars. So without any further ado, please help me welcome Mr. Greg Reid.
So a couple things. One, Joey did a great job on your intro track on that.
Yeah.
You mentioned the games at the house, but you didn't tell everyone how you fared playing these games at the house. Why don't you share with everybody how that went?
So here's the deal. I don't know if everybody knows this, but there's actually a plant called a money tree. And the money tree is actually growing right in Greg Reid's living room. And Greg Reid has a saying when you come to his house, and that saying is,
feed the tree.
Exactly. So when you go there, make sure, number one, you bring cash with you, and make sure, number two, you are ready, like I was, to feed the tree, because most of your money is going to be staying with that money tree when you go home. Greg, what's going on, man? It's so good to have you here.
Good to see you again, brother. You know, we're surviving out on the West Coast, doing our things, adjusting and adapting and looking for what's coming next. Like, I believe right now we're in a slingshot situation. What that means is things have been pulled back, and they're getting ready to release. And people better start preparing for the tsunami of opportunity and success that's coming our way. Look, we've proven we can handle adversities and challenges. Now it's time. Are we going to be prepared and ready to handle all the opportunities and success that comes our way? And it's a different mindset, but that's what me and my friends are looking at right now. So we're prepared.
I love that. Greg, I got to start you off, and we're definitely going to get into, I always like to talk about not so much the ups in entrepreneurship, but more so the downs. Mm-hmm. And on that note, I want to know before we get started, Greg, what's your story? Right? I always ask all my guests this, and you're free to answer this any way you want, but just remember we got a time limit on this thing. So
well, I don't really have a big, long backstory. So the short thing, from age 20 to 40, I only had one job. That's it. So I sold advertising, sales, and marketing. And I ended up growing that business where I started my own corporation, and I sold it. I think I was 39, 40 years old. And people asked how I did it. And I went around to universities and shared my little story. And a kid said, you should write a book. And I go, that's a great goal. I've never really read a book. I'm dyslexic, can't spell very good. So I took it on a challenge, and that one went on to become a global phenomenon, which led us to where we are today.
I love that. So on that note, we got to jump right into authoring then. I mean, today, the funny part is, when you were 39 or 40, you wrote your first book. I'm assuming it was this guy right here.
Millionaire. Yeah.
This is a fun book, by the way. If you guys haven't read this one, I definitely recommend it. The really cool thing about this one is I actually got this one signed by Greg. And not only that, he delivered it to my house. He felt so bad that I left so much money at his house when I went there to play games with him that he sent it to me.
No. What's really good about this book is that when you write a book, you do a query letter. It says who you are, what's your message, why you an expert, who's going to read your book. Mm-hmm. I was turned down by 268 publishers, agents, printers in a row when I did this one. Because again, I was dyslexic, I can't spell, I can't write. And the 269th one said, we'll do your book, but you got to change the beginning, the middle, the end part, because it was horrible. But I took their counsel and applied it, got a ghostwriter, and went on to become published in, I can't even tell how many languages. This quote in this book was shared 37 million times already. It says, a dream written down with a date becomes a goal. A goal broken down becomes a plan, and a plan backed by action makes your dreams come true. Now, you've probably seen that quote, but that came from that book. And again, that's 37 million people would have not seen that if I would have quit after 50 rejections or 100 or 212. And I realize it's the people that have that stickability you mentioned earlier. They're the ones that we tell the stories about today.
Yes. Let's see here. Here it is. Stickability. Tell us about that one, Greg. Look at this. You got so many books. We could do just a whole thing on authoring here.
That's true.
What is it about writing a book for you, Greg? That is that your favorite thing to do, or did it just kind of happen by accident? Like what is that for you, being an author?
Well, again, I don't write books. I author books. There's two different things. So an author is a person whose name goes on a book, and the person who writes it is a different person. And usually that's the way it works in the industry. So I'm full of hot air and gifted gab. So I sit down with amazing copy editors and ghostwriters. I share my message, and then they craft them in a way that people would want to read it. It's the same thing in my house. Look, it's designed very well, but if I did it, everything would be brown furniture and brown rugs. So I have to bring in experts to make it look cool so people actually want to come here. So it's very, very important to work your strengths and you hire your weaknesses. I just happen to be an expert at that.
Yes. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest keys in entrepreneurship. It's, when I started doing that, everything started changing. It's like, now we got this cool show. I'm hanging out with people like you. And it's all smoke and mirrors. I mean, I'm not even really here right now.
It's really interesting. Look, when we did our movie Wishman, that's out on Netflix right now. And guess what? I never ran a camera. I didn't go do craft services. I didn't do casting. What I did is I orchestrated and I created and produced a movie by finding the very best people that were capable and put those people in their jobs. And then I empowered them to get out of their way and let them work their expertise. And I didn't stand over their shoulder too much. And I realized that we can do and have anything if we surround ourselves with people that are getting the results we want. Listen, when I wanted to be a best-selling author, I went to Barnes & Noble. I bought every best-selling book. I didn't go to the best written book section because I can't write. So I said, hey, how does this work? I called every one of those authors up. How do you hit the bestsellers list? How do you get on the media? And I took their words of wisdom, spun it in my own way. And again, here we are 100 some odd books later and all this notoriety. But more importantly, it's been an opportunity to impact lives all around the world.
I love that. So I guess was Wishman kind of your first forte into filmmaking, or has that been a thing that you've been doing for a while now?
Yeah, I did a few films beforehand, but they were kind of just rinky-dink, type things, right? I mean,
Right.
nothing overly the top. But what happened is, as you know, I was doing that book, Stickability, and I was interviewing Frank Shankwitz, founder of the nonprofit called Make-A-Wish Foundation. And I asked him a question: what was your wish? He says, what do you mean? I go, well, you're the founder of Make-A-Wish. What'd you want? And he says, no one ever asked me. And I said, well, I'll grant your wish. Anything you want, I'll give it to you. And he says, I just want my story to be told so my grandkids will know that I did something cool. So he signed over his life rights, and it took 6 years and trials and tribulations. But we ended up making the final ballot for the Oscars last year, and now we're on Netflix worldwide.
That's amazing. And like I said, it is such an amazing movie. I remember, I think I heard you somewhere telling a story about casting. And when they cast, I think, what's his name? Andrew Steele, who played Frank. Mm-hmm. It was one of those interesting places that you were in, where you said, like, you could put a big name in here, or you could put the right person in here. Kind of run that story by us again.
Well, there's his name's Jules, and he founded MTV, the A&E, Hallmark Channel, and Showtime Television. And I was sitting in his estate, and I said, what do I do? We only have so much money. It's a low budget film. If I get one of these big name actors, how do I spread this out? And he said, look, when we started Showtime, when we started all these different, entities, he goes, if you look over at like Twin Peaks, he goes, none of these people were famous. What we did is we found the most amazing people to fill those roles. And we changed our mindset. And what we did is put them into place and then put more famous people around them as a support cast. And that's what we did. That's where everything changed. So instead of throwing our whole budget toward one big name to play Frank, what we did is we got the best possible actor, Andrew Steele, to play Frank, who dedicated 1.5 years of his life to this character. And then we put more famous faces around him to support him along the way. And people go, well, it's easy for you to do this. And it's easy for, listen, here's how it all started. I went on to a website on the internet to run an ad to find someone to help me write this script. I didn't even know where to begin. So I went to this website that's very secretive, and don't tell anyone, but it's called Craigslist. And I posted an ad for $25 for someone to help me write the script. Theo Davies popped up, amazing human being who went on to write the movie, direct the movie, help produce the movie, and now we're working on another project down the line. And the fact of the matter is, there's no excuse. Shut up. Everyone's sitting out there going, I can't do this. I think, look, saying you want to do something or have something and not have it just proves you don't want it bad enough. Think about that for a second. If you sit there and say, I want a Ferrari, but don't have a Ferrari, it just means you're not willing to do the necessary actions to have that Ferrari. And also understand this, a dream and a goal is just a fantasy until it comes true. And then at which it becomes a responsibility. Look, everyone wants a Lamborghini, everyone wants a Ferrari until they got one, right? Everyone wants to get married and have kids until they get married and have kids, right? It becomes a responsibility. It changes the paradigm. So that's where that saying comes from. Be careful what you ask for.
I love that. So do you believe, and you're a big fan, I'm a big fan of the book Think and Grow Rich. And you've had a lot of experiences with the Napoleon Hill Foundation and all that kind of stuff. Do you believe, I got it right here too, look at that, we're matching. Yeah. Do you believe that persistence is really the key to success? Just going through the down times until it, in a sense, turns into an uptime?
Well, first of all, I wrote the book on it, as you know, right. Many books on it. So, I mean, you're asking a question that's kind of silly for people that know our work. Of course we do. Stickability, 3 feet from goal, don't give up before the miracle happens. Right. 100%. But we also understand that a word that is just as important as stickability is called flexibility. And this is what people miss out on. They overplan and then they fail. So if I was on my sofa and I want to get to the end of the street, I have to have stickability that I keep my eye on the prize and I will not quit until I get to my destination. But a planner is going to plan every step where they're going to pause, take a break. If a sprinkler comes up, throws them off, they'll run back home. He goes, successful people look for and capitalize on unexpected opportunities. I'm talking about Truett Cathy, founder of Chick-fil-A. And he says, if I go to that direction, I'm saying, hey, did a kid leave a skateboard or a bicycle out that I could borrow to make my journey short? If I get real lucky, I'll wave down a neighbor driving by, hitch a ride to the end of the street. He says, either way, I'll get to my goal and destination. I'm just not so caught up in exactly how it has to transpire. And I realized that the most successful people on this planet, they have that stickability, they have that drive, and they have that persistence, but they're not so caught up in exactly the blueprint.
I love that. I love that. So it's funny that you mentioned my theme song in the beginning of this. I've listened to your stuff on Spotify, and you tell these stories. You talk about, the spider monkey and the one with Truett Cathy and all that kind of stuff. So it's just so funny to hear you kind of relay those things. But it's also funny because I think that of all the people I've had on here, you're one of the people who can take these concepts and make them the simplest. And,
it's because I'm not that smart. It works so great. It's so funny. At the end of the day, look, I barely graduated high school and never went to college. And I remember when I was leaving, I was 17 years old, and, I was leaving the house, and my dad pulls me aside and says, son, you got to go to college. I go, nah. I want to get into sales and marketing. I'm a people guy. I want to get out there and make some waves. And he looked me dead in the eye. I remember I was holding like my hair dryer when I had hair and my pillow, like seeing out the jerk. And he looks at me and says, son, you're never going to make a living talking to people. Isn't that crazy? And I remember I was maybe 20. I made my first 6-figure income, and I sent him a copy of my W-2 home and said, dear Dad, remember when you said I'd never make money talking to people? And obviously now it's kind of a running joke, but he was standing next to me when I got the star on the Walk of Fame, and it was such a great moment because you got to see that actually transpire in real life.
That's amazing. So tell us about that. So that's one of your more recent accomplishments, right? Getting a star on the Walk of Fame. How did you wake up one morning and decide that you wanted to do that, or how'd that come to be?
Yeah, I got nominated, and what happened is that we were doing Frank's story, and it was coming to life, and someone wanted to honor me, like I was honoring Frank, and so at the same day, Frank and I were honored with our stars on the Walk of Fame, and the people presenting it to us. One guy was the founder of the Entertainment Network. The other guy was the founder of Pictionary. We had some of the most amazing human leaders of all time all together. It was a little party, and we talked about the power that everyone can make a positive impact and a ripple effect, and you don't have to be a celebrity or a millionaire or a billionaire. Everyone can do a simple act of kindness. Look, you can give a pair of socks to a homeless guy today. You can stop a bully from fighting. Everyone can do some simple act. And that's what the message is that we want to share around the globe, because trust me, what's common sense to you is genius to somebody else.
I love that. So, Greg, for all the people out there, I mean, a lot of the people who are with us and a lot of the people that I talk to, they're just starting out in entrepreneurship. They're just getting started. And oftentimes I find that, especially for me, speaking from experience, when we get started, there's often a slump in entrepreneurship. There's that down cycle. I'm sure you're very well aware, but I mention this almost every episode. Darren Hardy wrote a book entitled The Entrepreneur Rollercoaster. And it's this idea that as entrepreneurs, we have ups and we have downs. So what would you say to somebody? What kind of advice would you give to somebody who's in that kind of down period in their entrepreneurial journey?
Well, first of all, we never make our major life-changing decision when we're in our valley. Look, you have ups and you have downs. When you have a down, you don't make a major life-changing decision because it's based at the lowest point. You wait till you have a little bit of, giddy up in your step, a little wind in your sails, things start going up. You make a decision from that point of view. You'll save 10 years of your life from going back and having to correct the choices you made because they were wrong based at your lowest point. And the biggest thing we can do as an entrepreneur or anything in life and business is to seek counsel and not opinion. Counsel is based on wisdom, knowledge, mentorship, where opinion is based on ignorance, lack of knowledge, or inexperience. You might go to a family friend and say, you're going to write a best-selling book. And they might try to talk you out of it to protect you, to keep you safe because they know you got a D in English and you're dyslexic. But if I go to Jack Canfield, who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul, he's going to say, Greg, if you're going to write a book, here's what you need to know, and give you counsel based on wisdom, knowledge, mentorship. If we would spend our activity only seeking counsel and ignoring people's opinion, that's the day your life would change.
I love that. I gotta follow up with that. So I'm watching the TV series now, Undercover Billionaire, where Grant Cardone's going undercover. He has $100 and has to build a $1 million business in 90 days. And one of the funny things that he said on there is he's looking for people initially, right? It's like, and to him, contacts equal contracts. And I know that you just wrote a book called The Power of Proximity in your long list of books that you write. And, last year I came and I met you. I met Les Brown last year, and I really spent a lot of money on relationships last year. Do you think that there really is power just in finding the right people and associating with them?
Has your life changed in any directive whatsoever since you did that investment?
Absolutely.
Then there's your answer. And the fact of the matter is most people don't, because they're stuck on something called the bad case of the one size. That means I'm going to go do that too once I get the kids out of the house, once I get the big break. The biggest thing that holds people back is their big butt. Not the one they're sitting on, but they sit there and say, well, I'd go do that too, but, and it's that butt that stomps us. And so the realities are, look, we created Secret Knock for that exact example. There is no more excuses. If you want to hang out with the guys that, change the world, here you go. Go to the website, secretknock.co, September. Come hang out with them. Come meet with them. But most people get caught up saying, oh, it's too expensive. It's time. Whatever your story is. And that's true for you. But the one person that watches this and going, you're telling me that I can go have tacos and hang out with the guy who started the $1 billion brand UGG boots? Sign me up. Those are the people we want in our sphere, because you're going to have direct access to people that have not just talked about it. They've actually done it.
I love that. So tell us a little bit more about Secret Knock. I know that you and I know about it. I'm definitely going to be there hanging out with you on the red carpet. But tell us all, what is Secret Knock? How did that come to be? And I love that name. You got to tell us about the name.
Yeah, well, it's just kind of a fluke little thing. So what happened is I was writing all these amazing bestsellers, and I was interviewing all these incredible leaders, and people started calling me and asking, how do I meet your friends? So in my house, in the living room with 12 people, I invited some of these experts, and I said, just come over and hang out. And they said, well, do I need a ticket? I go, no, there's no ticket. Just do the secret knock on the front door, bump and a bump, as a joke. Well, that went on to tell other people, and they told people. And now we are Forbes and Inc. magazine's top-rated business event in the world for people to come and network. And it's really weird. By the way, it's expensive. It's $3,000 to go, and we will not tell you where it is or who will be there. You have to go to the website, fill out an application. Someone calls you to make sure that there's a good fit and we can be of value to you and that you bring value to our community. And then we accept you in, and then just tell you the city and the state and the date, and that's it. So you can book your airline tickets. And then right before the event, we'll slip it out where we're going to be. And the reason is because you never know who's going to show up. Last time we did it, Presidente Vicente Fox from Mexico came. He didn't want Secret Service type stuff. So we kept it secret. People show up. When we did a private Skype with Edward Snowden while he's hiding in Russia, we kept it under wraps. When we hang out with these amazing human beings like Tonino Lamborghini flies in from Italy, again, we don't want people coming in that weren't invited. So it's very important to understand that this is the blueprint. But if you've ever been looking for a society and a community to come hang out with people that are doing, this is it.
And besides, both you and I are going to be there. So I think
that's the best thing. We're going to look amazing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And who knows? I might even make some of my money back if I come over to your house and play some games.
No. Look, I believe in stickability and having your eye on the prize, but I'm going to keep you from doing that. Look, you've seen ping pong skills.
Well, yes, ping pong, you win on ping pong, but everything else, I got that burning desire, chapter 1 of Think and Grow Rich in me. I'm coming out there for you, Greg.
All right, bring it on. All right, we got a few more minutes.
I love it. So, Greg, what's next for you? What's your next big thing that you got going on? Because you're always doing cool stuff. I actually even titled this video that we're doing, How to Do It All and Still Have Fun, because that I think embodies you and what you do. Yeah,
well, having fun is the key part. That's why I do it. And I'm always trying new things that I've never done before. I've never made a movie before, did books, same thing, speaking, same thing. And the next is television. I haven't tapped into that market, and I'm working on it. So I created a little TV, pilot, and I'm shopping it. And everything kind of went to, on pause, as we know, last year. So I'm amping that, getting ready to bring it out and start shopping to the different networks. And I want to break into more mainstream media because I realized, look, I've done 100 books and impacted the lives, let's say, millions of people, which is amazing. Well, guess what? That one movie, Wishman, has already been seen by tens and tens of millions of people. And I realized by economy of scale that we can impact more people by that broader reach. Just like you just said, Grant being on that TV show, they talk about more than his book, 10X. So I'm going to make sure that I'm doing my very best to get out there as far reach as possible so we can help a lot of people.
I love that. I'm actually, I saw the trailer for that show too. I'm super pumped for that. It's going to be so fun. So what are your thoughts on kind of the state of the world and more specifically in, I guess, the speaking world? I know that I've had a lot of speakers on here. I had Les Brown on this show, and he actually told me that his speaking career took off since COVID happened because he's able to speak every day now virtually. What's your kind of thoughts been on the world of public speaking?
Yeah, it's funny. I talked to him the other day, and he said, Greg, I don't think I'll ever do a live event again. I go, what? He goes, man, this is great. I get to sit here on the beach and inspire people and I never have to leave the house. So I'm like, oh, that is pretty amazing. Now, I do know, again, that everything's going to open up. Remember this. People have a short attention span. I live in California, and when we were all in lockdown, the day they hinted that the beaches were going to open again, 1 billion people are out there. Well, that's the way that people are going to go. The moment that things open up again, people have a short attention span, and this will be all a distant memory. And I believe that's all going to be happening within the matter of months now. So, I'm focusing on getting out there. Look, a quarterback never throws a football where a wide receiver is standing. They throw it downfield and let them run to it. So right now I'm planning down the field of what's coming next, so I'm prepared when it comes my way.
I love that. And real quick, show us your shirt because we actually have Steve Lloyd joining us right now, which I find.
I'm doing my Stone Bay Holdings because I got to tell you, Steve Lloyd is an amazing human being, and his company and the people that work with them are second to none. So I'm representing the logo and the brand 100%. And look, I'm going to end with this because this is a very important message that I wish I would have learned when I was younger. It's an acronym called CPC. CPC. It stands for clues, patterns, choices. Unfortunately, again, like I said, I learned this a little bit late, but when you listen to this thing, this is the one that you might want to write down. It's about accountability and responsibility for every single thing that happens. Stop blaming other people. It's your fault. And it works like this. I'm a single guy. So let's say I go out on a first date with an amazing human being, and she happens to be 20 minutes late. Now, anything could have happened, but there's a little red flag, and it's my first C, my clue. But if I go on the 5th, 6th, 7th date, every single time she's 20 minutes late, that forms the P, the pattern. Now, it's my other C, choice, whether I deal with it, yell at her, break up with it, but it's not her fault. She's just late. Stop trying to change people to fit into your own little paradigm box. How many times have we seen someone with a bad reputation in business? They cheat your best friend and you do business thinking it'll be different for me. Then things go wrong and you're mad at the person. You saw the clue, you saw the pattern, you made the choice. It's like seeing a rattlesnake rattle, bite your kid's sister. You go to pet it, get bit, and you're mad at the snake. Looking back, rarely are we angry of the relationships that didn't go good or the business negotiations that fell apart. We're just angry that we stayed in too long because we saw the clues, we saw the patterns, but we made our choices late.
I love it. I love it. Every time I hear you tell that story, it hits me differently each time.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is amazing stuff. Greg, this has been amazing, my brother.
Until next time, man, I'm looking forward to seeing you. I'll go warm up the pool table for you so you can try to win a couple bucks back. Deal?
Sounds good. I'll be there in about 5 hours.
Bye. See you later.
Right. See you, man. Have a good one. Everybody who's still hanging out with us, thank you so much for being here. You know the deal. Until next time, we will see you again on the Make Money and Have Fun show. See you guys.